Live from the BoD studios around the state of Wisconsin, it is Playin and Slayin, episode 63. We are quickly approaching the speed limit on most of the interstates in this country, but for now, episode 63. We are joined by a imageless Bryce, and then I've got my cohorts here, Josh and Troy, on the YouTubes, and all of the podcast launching apps that exist in the history of the known world. And we're going to talk about the usual stuff, what we do, play games, paint stuff, build stuff, buy stuff. But then we're also going to talk about the return to Gen Con, as that is in the rearview mirror at this point in time here at the end of August. Early in August, Troy and Josh, myself, with others that we know, attended Gen Con in Indianapolis. Had been the return after a few years off for Josh and I. And Troy, you went last year when they kind of did a Gen Con 0.7.
Yeah, it was Gen Con Light. It was all the activity with half the people or something like that. So.
And then Bryce and I are recently returned from Nashville. We went down for NashCon, an AoS tournament, with many of our friends down there that we got to see, but traveled down with Tom and played some AoS for the first time also in a few years. So we're going to talk about both of those trips. Bryce is going to share tips and tricks to going 5-0.
That's 0-5.
Oh, I'm sorry. 0-5. And yeah, we'll have some fun just kind of seeing where the state of the game is at after a few years of really not paying much attention or playing. Before we get to that, though, when you're playing and slaying, it's important to stay hydrated. So I hope you all have a beverage as we record this evening. And as you are listening or viewing, I hope you share one with us. Even if it's water, it's important to stay hydrated. So Troy, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking the Gen Con Delight, or Dragon's Delight, the Gen Con beer if I get it in frame.
Oh, nice.
So the return, this was the official beer from the 50th. Actually, it's my favorite of the Sun King, Gen Con beers that they did.
Yeah.
And so it was really good that they brought it back, and imbibed quite a bit when we were there, and then went to Sun King on my way home for foreshadowing our Gen Con trip, which is our typical Sunday. Go to Sun King, take Ben to the airport, and buy a case and a half of beer, and then take it home and give it away. I'm sorry. I think last year I think everybody, when we did our Gen Con one, everybody had Gen Con beer. So I didn't, but I haven't seen you guys in person. To get you some, even you, Bryce, we'll have to find a way to get you a 4-pack. So.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bryce, what are you drinking tonight, Bryce?
Well, I know you'll be disappointed in me, and I almost grabbed this honey mead that I was gifted from our best friend Stu, but I just have a nice tall, cold glass of water.
All right. Well, I know you work hard on projects and stuff, so I'm sure you're just trying to rehydrate after mowing the lawn or something. So I won't give you too much trouble. And I know Josh will make up for it. Josh, what do you got?
A liquid death.
Josh won't make up for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's what Bryce should have had, would have been a liquid death, or just call his water liquid death. Like liquid death without the can. Like either one that would work, right?
Yeah. From the tap. Well, Josh, I hope your water is cold and delicious.
It's really good.
Yeah. I am drinking from Third Space, a Happy Place. It is their Midwest Pale Ale. I think it's still their summer. Yeah, they might do it year round now. But I like Third Space. Very good stuff, and this is a good one. All right. So we'll talk a little bit about what we played at Gen Con in our Gen Con recap. But for now, let's talk about some non-Gen Con gaming. I'll go first because I've just got a pretty short list here. So at Gen Con, I purchased a board game from Ravensburg called The Great British Baking Show.
I
It
love it too.
is a tile drawing and placing game. Each player has their stack of ingredients, little cards that they draw, and you have a recipe that is shared in common for each player. So you're drawing your deck, trying to put them down in the right places using the right ingredients, and then there's scoring at the end to see if you get um, a Hollywood handshake, something else, or it's like Saki bottom, I think, is the lowest point award. Um, but it's fun, and there's some wild cards where then you can draw specific ingredients from the middle, and you can discard into 3 piles, so you can always draw from the deck or draw from one of your 3 discards. But if you bury a card that you need, you can't go get it. You can't dig through your discard. You can only play from your discard. So it plays quick. It's pretty fun. Played it when we went up on vacation with Nicole and Landon, and had a lot of fun playing it with the family. So great British baking show, because that is something we watch. So
how many seasons? You got them all?
Nicole has. I've only watched a couple. And then I'm doing a lot of RPGs still. So running 2 D&D campaigns, one of which you all play in. I've affectionately put in my notes Kingdoms and Railroads. And we'll check in with you guys since you're the players. I just tell stories accordingly to Bryce.
I was told that I almost died.
And I was not there for that part. All I heard was after. That's what I heard too, because I joined a little late, and I heard Bryce almost died.
Yeah. So a revenant.
Josh, you need to tell us what happened. Yeah.
A revenant attacked the gang as they were traveling up the river.
That's right.
They found the captain's brother in Fort Jasper, long lost brother, who said, "I want to go reclaim my ancestral lands," and you guys all signed up. But then the revenant showed up, wanted its spear because somebody had raided a burial cairn.
Sin.
I did that, yeah.
Yep.
It wasn't just me, though. It was me and Paul.
Then you traveled further up the river and stopped at where a bridge is being constructed, and came upon an inn that was under siege from these husk zombies.
Yep. And one exploded like a bomb.
One was a burster, and exploded. And then you learned inside the inn, along with the innkeeper and his wife, was one of the brothers from Eldana, the monastery that collects knowledge from around the world, that spoke of a temple to the Ancient of Death, Zevnir, that apparently had been corrupted, and you took that quest up to go in and attempt to see what's going on there.
Yeah,
so that's exciting when I just kind of regurgitate.
These are the monks that read the books and then they
and
eat
then
them.
Burn them. It'll work.
Oh, I thought they ate them so that then nobody else can get the knowledge.
They burn them after reading and committing to memory.
It might have been translation. He's not. Yeah. It's like common's not his first language, so I think he thought they ate them afterward. Yeah, and he's like, that sounds all right. Yeah, he's like, maybe they taste good. So he has kind of a strange diet. And I know Tuck did hit like 150, 180 yard bow shot.
He did.
It was kind of I couldn't hit like a 30-yard bow shot, but I could hit I did hit 181. Yeah.
Once they're at your long range increment, you were nailing them. Yep. So next time, go clear out the temple. Check out some of the maps that I've been making with Dungeon Alchemist, which is the one other thing that I've been having a lot of fun with. It's an AI dungeon creation software that I bought early access on Steam. I've been just making a ton of maps. And then I'm playing in Milwaukee by Night, vampire game, on Mr. Mephisto's Twitch every Wednesday around 8:30, 9 o'clock Central. We get going. I think we're on our 23rd or 24th session. Weekly game. It's pretty cool, the amount that you do. And then Charlotte, one of the players, she has been editing into hour-long episodes and putting them on Spotify. And we drop those every Monday on Spotify, Milwaukee by Night. So if you don't want to watch on Twitch or catch the YouTube, and you want to look and listen to more condensed chapters with really great sound editing and musical scoring, I would highly suggest checking it out in podcast version. That's all I've been doing. And I played Age of Sigmar, a practice game with Brendan before going to NashCon. He re-taught me how to play.
Because they changed the rules on you.
They did. Evidently, a whole new edition came out.
Well, I purchased 2 Dogman games, and for those not familiar, Dogman is a half dog, half man cartoon, kind of novels, books, whatever. And my kids love them. My younger 2 love Dogman. So when I came across Dogman games at Gen Con, I was like, well, at least they got the theme, right? They'll love the theme. And the games are all right. I mean, they're kind of simplistic, but I mean, for 8 and 4, the younger 2 like them. One of them is it's called Dogman Flipporama. It's got like the cells of like the cartoon, right? And you have the first one and then the second scene. And if if you match them, you get to hit the bell and collect your cards. So it's just kind of a matching game. The youngest loves this, mainly for the bell. And the other one is Dogman Attack of the Fleas. And basically you're racing, it's a co-op game, and you're racing this mechanical brontosaurus, and you're trying to do 3 damage to him. So you knock off his tail, you knock off his head, and you knock off the little cockpit. And you have to collect weapons to do damage to him, or to like move around the board and collect more weapons. And it's there's a little bit going on, and I think it's a little bit more, it's less Candyland and more, some strategy required. So the kids are kind of getting into that, so I think that's kind of fun. And plus, it's Dogman, right?
Roy, how about you? Any games?
Sure, I will jump into a couple. So we did typical Weiss Friday night, Saturday night online board game arena. A couple weeks ago, we were goofing around, and then it got late, and we're like, let's play something. And so we just pulled out Carcassone, classic, but we played with the Princesses and Dragons and the River expansion. I think I've talked about that before. Really liked Princesses and Dragons. It just adds a little bit of randomness into the game. And so that was fun. I think Ben came out of nowhere. He won with the fields. Came out and we thought he was dead and gone, and he came from way back to.
The farmers do it.
Field's going to be a strong play.
Yeah, and it was hard to tell. It's really hard to tell sometimes, like who's going to score what, right? And that, and is it really going to be worth it? So that was good. That was fun. Again, classic game, and really nice implementation on Board Game Arena. You can end it with all the expansions. So if you haven't really kind of played the expansions, it's a good way to get try them out and see which ones you like and do that. The other one that we've been, I think the last couple weeks, is Nemesis, the big, huge board game. The new Nemesis Lockdown, which is kind of the second, I'll call it, maybe it's not second edition, but it's a standalone expansion. Everyone, a standalone version of Nemesis, the original. The premise there, instead of a spaceship, Nemesis Lockdown, you're in a base on Mars. But basically the rules are a lot the same, just a little bit different. They add some characters and things like that. But it is on Steam, so we played a couple of games of that. I was really because that game has so much setup to put down, being able to kind of just click a button and get things going, and then having it do a lot of the work is running the AI for the aliens and all the bases and stuff. So it's nice to just watch, not have it do all that stuff, and to it was good to relearn the game. Now I feel like I get the game back to the table one of these days, it'll be that much simpler too. So again, a lot of Nemesis is fun, more from just bad endings. Like I do not think in the 2 games we played, anyone survived. The actual, I think we all ended up losing. Everybody ended up dying to aliens or something in some way. And then you can have, you basically could win or say from who partially completed. You all have a couple objectives to figure out, and so you can partially complete the objectives. So But you also, again, just remembering how you have to play pretty conservative because the aliens are pretty deadly and there's not a lot of ammunition and there's not a lot of healing. And so it's a lot of it is just, bad endings of stories. So we've been having fun with that. We'll probably break that out a few more times. And then I'll talk a little bit in Gen Con that, but I was a very proud dad when we were up in Door County. I don't know, this was in end of July, I think just before Gen Con. And we stumbled into the local game store, the Noshery that I've mentioned in Sturgeon Bay. And of course, Saturday morning is Pokemon day at a lot of local game stores. And I just kind of and she's like, oh, can I play? And I'm like, well, you never play. I was kind of amazed, somehow through, I don't know what, maybe watching too many YouTube videos, right? She sat down and I kind of sat with her and just kind of, more helped her shuffle and hold cards than anything else. But she played another girl who was, again, her age on the other side, who had played a bunch on that. And they played Pokemon. She actually pulled it out and with a win with, I don't know, I think both sides, right? Who knows if they were 100% of the rules all playing in there, but she pulled out the win for her there. And so it was kind of
Very
fun.
cool.
So it was good. And so starting to play a little bit more Pokemon around the house here. So
Nice. We're still just cracking packs and checking value. Landon doesn't really want to play. He just likes turning it into a business.
Yeah, I mean, mostly it's been, it's just have some of those pre-constructed decks. That's what, I think now I think I have 5 or something like that. So it's just grab a couple of those and sit down and crank through it. And even over this weekend, we were up north and I got Mandy, my sister, to play, taught her how to play Pokemon against Sarah. Although Sarah, it was a little bit late at night, so Sarah bailed at the end, and it was basically me playing Mandy for to finish it off. But
nice, Bryce. I'm tempted to not even ask, but have you played anything outside of the 5 games of AoS at NashCon?
We got so close to playing a game of HeroQuest, but then some things happened.
We got nowhere close.
About on BoD After Dark because it is not family friendly.
No, no pickles.
Green beans.
Pickled green beans. Yep.
Oh.
So that's as close as I got to playing a game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know that was close, really.
It was on the table.
I think Landmine summed it up best when somebody sent a tweet out there when we were at NashCon about, in the hotel room to play HeroQuest. And then Landmine's like, I bet that didn't even get out of the box. All right. Quick hobby challenge roundup. It has been several months since we actually officially visited this, but I'm going to make us do it now, and we'll just add to the official score and do a, what's the next challenge as we try to go through the year, and I think we've done this twice. So it had been to do 3 Marvel Crisis Protocol models to, in essence, finish a team. We all had partially painted stuff or assembled stuff or ideas. The current scoreboard had been myself at 8 points, Josh at 7.5, Bryce at 3, because we give you points even when you're not doing hobby, and Troy leading the way at 9 points. 1 point for assembling, 1 point for basing, 1 point for 3 color minimum, a finishing technique, and then I think something else.
And then I think we were given an extra point for
finishing a model,
or customizations or something else like that. If we were good, we'd go back and look and see, because there is actual rules somewhere that you put in somewhere. So
one of the earlier episodes, but in essence, max you can get is 5 points for a specific challenge. This month I'll share. I had every intention of doing Colossus, Magic, and one other member of that crew. I got models built, did not prime them, base them, paint them. So I got 1 point, taking my total to 9 for the running tally. So a miserable failure on this over the last couple months. Just did not revisit painting Crisis Protocol. I've painted some HeroQuest terrain. I've painted a building for AoS. But I did not get Crisis Protocol going. Josh, we're gonna go to you. We're gonna go from the bottom to the top.
No, I might be the bottom. So.
I painted Black Dwarf, got him all done. I had Proxima and Corvus from before, so I probably can't count them.
No.
But they were part of that team. That was going to be the team. But I did Zenithal. What's his face? Ebony Maw and Nebula. I always forget Ebony Maw's name. So I don't know. Assembled.
So you fully did one of the 3 models.
Yes.
You then built, based, and primed the other 2 models.
Correct.
So that's
There's
11. That's 11 points across 3 models divided by 3. That's like 3 1/3. 3.33.
Oh, I said. Oh, you're scoring into each one and divide by 3. I like that. That's a good.
3.33 repeating.
Repeating, of course.
So Josh, that takes you to a
That's
very
get
easy
tricky.
to calculate
That's gonna get tricky.
10.833333 repeating.
Let's round up. We're a round up show.
All right, so Josh is at 11 points.
Yay.
Bryce, I'm going to assume you didn't do any
No,
Marvel
I
Crisis
did
Protocol.
this one.
What?
Yeah. And I think this might be the best I've ever painted anything, honestly. And I don't like to brag, but
Wow.
I think in the time frame we started this is when I painted Mysterio, Carnage, and Lizard.
Oh yeah. That sounds right.
Because I didn't have these painted the last time I was on the podcast, and I was part of this challenge. So
all right, so is that a full 5-pointer? You did one advanced technique.
Yeah,
based, painted.
One of them is not based. So
all right, so you got 14 divided by 3. We'll give you 5 points because you're Bryce, and you need the love.
Yeah.
So that puts you at 8.
Oh, don't call the comeback.
Yeah, you've been here all along. Troy, I'm interested in your 0.5 question mark in the show notes here.
So technically I would be at 0.33, but we'll round up to the 0.5 since I have magic assembled is as far as I got. So.
All right, so that takes you to 9.5.
Yep.
So I have fallen into the last position. Or no, Bryce is still in last.
Bryce is still,
narrow margin. Let's set a goal. What do we want to do? I see Heresy or AoS. I vote for AoS because I don't have any Heresy stuff.
For me, it has to be AoS. I'm pulling the trump card because I have the closest event. That is only like 7 weeks away.
No, I win.
No, they're the same weekend.
No.
Yeah,
regardless of what the goal is, I'm going to keep going with MCP. So,
is yours Dragonfall, Troy?
Nope.
Oh, what is it?
I'm going to do the Chicago. I think I'm going to do the Chicago Open.
Oh, okay.
Sweet.
I think I'm going to do a narrative 40K in Chicago. So.
If you do,
but
Raph,
I'm not. Yeah.
Raph messaged me if any of us were going, and I said,
yeah,
Troy, maybe try to connect with Troy. Okay.
Yeah, I talked to him, so I'm excited. I do have to navigate Sarah's birthday weekend a little bit, so still trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do. But my plan is to do. I do have a ticket for the narrative 40K, just in case I pull it off. So, but I'm not really going to paint. I think I'm going to pull G-Sarah Cult off the shelf and touch it up. So I'm good with AoS because I also have Sylvaneth to.
How about if should we just do a general hobby?
General hobby?
Well, let's make it one. Let's like one. It has to be something, right? So either a unit, an HQ model, or a hero model, or a whatever, or a terrain piece, if that's what you're going for.
Sounds
so
good.
It can't be like one trooper, right? It has to be something. A playable unit. How's that? A playable piece of unit.
A playable unit.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
A playable unit.
in whatever you
Your
do.
game
Probably
of
AOS.
choice. It'll be 3 AOS, and Josh will do Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Probably, yeah.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
give you mine, Josh, to work on. Like,
I have plenty. I need to get through this backlog of shame.
Oh.
All right. Let's lock it in. A playable unit.
opportunity. I was told it's opportunity.
Yes, it
Opportunity.
is.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Crowdfunding. Anyone kickstart anything? Put money towards anything? Get anything in fulfillment?
You know what? Again, what I noted, and I don't know if you talked about it, Ty. The way back when the Critical Core RPG game that it was targeted toward RPG, especially autistic people on the spectrum and stuff like that. It was. I think I said they got an update, and I noticed that they delivered. They delivered, but I only bought the electronic copy, and I never went and actually looked at it until. So I felt like I got it new, even though I think it's been sitting out there since April, waiting for it. But all of a sudden, I got it. I think they sent out something. I'm like, wait, did I ever get this? And then I'm like, oh no, I think I donated a couple of copies, and then I just got the digital thing. So, but again, if you're interested in anything of that, or know anybody, I think groups that would be interested in using RPG in a therapy situation, or even with kids and other thing else. I think we talked about that way back when. I think that was a couple of years ago when they started that project, but it is out there in the wild now. So
excellent.
That's very cool.
I've got a few projects that I'm like waiting on, like Shotguns and Sorcery. The Zombicide Undead or Alive, the Old West one, is like getting close.
I think that's
to
close.
ship.
Yep. Yeah, I did do an audit.
Is making its way through the production cycle and print. Bryce, any of your
Unbelievably, a game that I believe is nearing its 4-year anniversary of purchase is 60% to the port, or something like that in an email I got yesterday. I think 30% of Second Wave has been delivered, and I didn't make it in that 30%, so I'm in the other 70 that's stuck waiting. But mid-October, so it will be just under 4 years since I backed it. I think it was like the end of November that I backed it.
And then you're going to have it fully painted and learn how to play to bring it to the the winter weekender, right?
Yeah, I also have to explain to Anna when a 500-pound box arrives on her front stairs what it is.
Yeah, it's decorations.
Yeah, just buy a bar fridge and sneak that in. And then when that comes in, just like, oh look, I got a new bar fridge, because it'll be about the same size box probably. So.
Yeah.
I have a secret crowdfund that I can't tell you about until later in the year.
Why is it?
I just got an update on it, so that's the only reason I'm bringing it up.
Can you tell us why it's a secret?
Because it's a gift.
Wow. For Tiffany?
Fantastic. Secret crowdfunding. I did get my copy of the Frozen North, the HeroQuest expansion that came, through Hasbro Pulse. Haven't opened it yet, but
I have not either. It's right there, next to the HeroQuest.
All right, so let's get into it. Project Ironside. This looks to be another Kickstarter. It's got about 30 some days remaining. It's $2.8 million raised. Right?
Yep.
A lot of money raised so far.
And so it's a board game table. So
modular board game table.
And it is a metal table, or at least I think the frame is metal, which is kind of the unique piece of that. I know a lot of stuff we've seen in the past was always wood and so forth. So that's what made me. I saw it come by on, I don't know, somehow some ad targeted me and made me go look at it. And I was like, I'm not in the shopping for it, but it was interesting because it feels like it could be there. But I was a little worried, like, is it how viable is the company how hard is it to manufacture a steel table? What, I mean, like I had a little bit of flashbacks from the Ultimate Gaming Table that I won't knock on it right now, but that I'm sitting at
Well,
right now. Like, yeah, it could get funded and out there, but do they actually have a business that is sustainable, or are they going to be
yeah.
a one and done kind of?
I mean, not only that, but the timeline, right? Like Josh, the Duchess, right, was just infinitely delayed. It was years beyond their target when they shipped, and
Yeah,
Ultimate Gaming Table went under, and
I think it was like almost a year. Yeah. So
Yep.
not plural, but yeah, I think it
I
was.
thought
I
it
think it
was
was like.
multiple.
I think it was like 8-10 months, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
And now
but, I
board
mean,
game
but it
tables
was.
is. Yeah, I was just going to say, board game tables like they're around yet. They have a company. They're still making more
Yeah.
tables, right? So,
Right.
yeah, even with the delay, was the delay warranted because he actually made sure that they were shipping a quality product and could keep going.
Yeah.
It was
Whereas-
pre-COVID too, so like
Right.
that
Yep.
Right.
before like delays and shipping constraints became an issue for a lot of not like the olden days, but you know what I mean. Like shipping in today's world is still messed up from the pandemic and the
For sure.
havoc that caused. But those were both before that. So interesting to watch. I mean, I could use a board game table. I look at table toppers all the time. I don't want to buy like a big full one just given the space, but something like that's more budget friendly and
Yeah, and
take it
I
apart.
think I think you said that, Ty, right? I think the price point looks interesting. That's
Yeah,
why I think
$3.99.
yeah
Mhm.
for and that's like a 3x5-ish, right, or something
3x5,
like
yeah.
yeah. And then you can. It's interesting. Is like the Wargamer. You can take two of those and stick them together and have a 6x5 monster, monster table. That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah. What's pretty crazy is 3x5 is getting close to the dimensions now. I mean, you're talking it's 44 by I think 60 is the dimensions of your AoS and 40K board size now. All right, so that's Project Ironside. Up on Kickstarter. The one other thing before we move into the library I do want to touch on is I don't often disparage retailers. I don't often talk about my experiences with different places shipping. I think I've spoken highly of enough, like Mini Stomp and Noble Knight, and other local establishments. But I have decided to never again order from an online retailer, and that online retailer is Miniature Market. July 18th, I made an order. On their website, they advertised a couple of additional days due to warehouse and shipping issues. 2 to 3, I think, business days was the disclaimer on the website. I bought stuff that's in. It wasn't pre-orders. It wasn't new releases. It was in stock. It was there. I expected I would see it in about a week. I did not. I asked the question. They said they were moving warehouses and they should have it out soon. I said, okay. I went to Gen Con. I saw Miniature Market's booth with this product on the shelf. And I was like, well, I should have just bought it here. Little did I know it wouldn't ship before Gen Con.
Yeah.
So I get back from Gen Con. I send a follow-up email. They're like, we're still processing. That means it's waiting for processing. We're moving warehouses, blah, 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 blah. So that was like August 9th. What is today, guys, as
The
we record?
30th.
August 30th? Yeah.
Yep.
I emailed them Monday. Fifth time I've contacted their customer support asking for updates and statuses, and I asked what they're doing to make it right. They updated my shipping to UPS Ground, and they gave me 500 reward points. That equates to a $5 voucher at Miniature Market. It is now 47 days since I hit order and paid, and I got the UPS that it's supposed to arrive tomorrow. So if in fact it arrives tomorrow, it will have been a roughly 48-day process to order something that generally ships in 7 days or less. So moving warehouse or not, I think that's just horrific. excuse making in customer service, and I hope nobody ever orders from them again because of the ridiculous delays.
Well,
I actually had an extremely similar experience with Forge World, believe it or not. And I've always heard how great their customer service is.
Yeah.
I had ordered I never remember the character name of the eagle from the Lord of the Rings. But I ordered that model, and I got a shipping notification the day after I ordered it, and then I got an arrival notification 3 days later, but it never arrived. And I emailed them asking for an update, and they said, "Oh, we'll reach out and update you tomorrow." Well, a week passed, and they didn't update me, and then I followed up, and then they said, "Oh, sorry, we haven't heard anything. We'll follow up again." Another week passes, don't hear anything. After 5 weeks, I finally got a refund for it and had to reorder a new one, which I was shocked by. I've heard of people who have complained that a model like had a warped arm and then got another one sent to them immediately. And so I don't know if something's changed with them, but that was a rough experience.
Brexit happened, and nothing ships from the UK.
Well, the question was that, was that shipping
No, it was US.
or a product?
Oh, it was from their Tennessee warehouse.
Correct, because they should have stuff here. Yeah.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I guess it's just a bad time to order stuff from people and expect it to get here. So I'm going to keep ordering from Amazon because Bezos has figured it out, and I can get stuff there overnight. I ordered a book yesterday and some saline, and I got it today. So.
Yep. Well, I mean, like you said, I have been, even my online, I've been trying to spread around. Like I think I mentioned, I met Sky Herrick from Herrick Hobbies at Adepticon. So I've been trying to show him like anything that I maybe would have ordered, I'm like, oh, I mentioned, why don't I just order it from somebody I know, right? Or local game store, right? I don't know. Yeah. In some ways, like there's lots of options. There's very few things that are only at Miniature Market, right? I feel like nowadays, like the prices aren't like, I think in the past, sometimes it was like, oh, for a big price break, it may be worth it to go through that. But I just feel like there's so many other options to get stuff now that, your mileage may vary, but I've just been trying to show love to other people that I know.
I heard that now that they're in the new warehouse, they're shipping super fast. So, just kidding, Ty.
For all I know, they just have a storage container and it's sitting in a parking lot as they finish building shelves. Because that's kind of what it felt like, as they put everything in one of those PUD, those like temporary storage things. And they're like, we're not getting to anything in here. And I missed like a cutoff date or something. But I was like,
your order didn't come from the old build. Like it was literally left in the old warehouse, piling dust on it. And it's like, did anybody ever go back and get those orders we didn't refill? No, I haven't been there yet. Yeah.
I'm not like a big retail shop, or I'm not, but a few $100s every year for 7 years. Like, I've established a pattern of being a recently decent customer. And now it's just like, I'm done. A $5 voucher and you upgraded my shipping. Like, GFY.
To UPS ground, is that?
Yeah. Well,
is that upgraded?
Right. Well,
USPS.
Evidently.
That's been again, again, I don't want to dump on them, but that's been one of the issues that made me start is they were using like that Sure Ship or
Smart
whatever.
Post or whatever. Yeah.
Smart Post. Like it should have been UPS ground to start with. Like they started really cheap out on the shipping. And a lot of times you would just, they would ship it. And sometimes I think Ty, you had that in the past, right? Where all of a sudden it took 2 weeks for the UPS to find it and get it over because it got misdirected or something. And I don't know. Those experiences started to get me to look at stuff even before that. So, but I'm sure a lot of people have good experiences. I don't want to just
maybe
them,
not me.
It's we all everybody, you can make your choices. We're just providing our opinion.
Yep. Unbiased. All right, let's crack the door on the library. Reading, listening, watching. I'm going to start with Bryce because he's not in the show notes and I don't know what he's been doing. But Bryce, you reading anything, watching any shows? Do you have time for any of that between your carpentry projects or your landscaping?
Not been reading a lot. I've been obsessed with the Untold documentaries on Netflix. The Manti Tale, the And one just came out last weekend. There's a Malice in the Palace one. There's a blood doping one. They're all incredibly entertaining because they're all things that have happened in our lifetimes, and
Yeah.
you get to hear the real stories about it instead of just the Sports Center stories. So those have been really fun. I watched Lock and Key, I think it's called on Netflix. It's over, and I'm thankful for that. Like over. And then obviously started House of Dragons,
Yeah.
and I remember every reason why I love Game of Thrones. So
Oh, really? We could have an episode where we talk about our differing opinions of that first episode, I think.
it's not so much like, oh, I thought the episode was great, but we kind of talked about this when we were, either 20 hours into our drive or something like that from home from Nashville. But it's just like an opportunity to escape and entertain yourself. And
Yeah. Revisit a world.
yeah,
Yep.
whether it's a great episode or a great story, it doesn't really matter to me anymore in my life. It's just an opportunity to just be there and enjoy it. So I'm happy it's back.
That was good.
Definitely.
Yeah. So Lock and Key is a comic, just if you didn't know.
I'm
that,
sure the
but
comic is a lot better than the show.
I haven't.
Yeah.
I didn't watch
enjoyed-
the show.
I
I just know
enjoyed
that
the first
people
season,
talk very
but-
highly of the comic, and so I think they were excited for the.
Yeah,
Heard good things,
it
at
was
least the first
fine.
couple seasons of the show. So.
Yeah, first two were fine. I think there was two before this one, and then this one was a little rough to make it through.
Cool. And then I have not. I just don't. I mean, maybe that is. We do have and we know what our next intermediate episode is. It's all about. I have no desire to watch House of Dragons. I'm trying to find some energy to watch House of Dragons, but I haven't been sucked back in. And so I don't know. Yeah, maybe we have to have a conversation and figure out where between the Bryce, who's is entertained by it, Ty sounds disappointed, and Troy has need motivation to even try and watch. So I don't know where you fall on that scale, Josh. Like,
I haven't watched it yet, so
see,
All right.
you might. Is it on your like?
it's on the list. I just haven't set aside the time yet. So
I've got our main thing for the next episode. It's a play it or slay it House of the Dragon. We each watch the episode with critical, and then we play it or slay it.
awesome.
Are we episode 3 or episode 1?
Episode 1.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Josh, since you haven't watched House of the Dragon, what have you been watching?
Yeah, I don't know if I talked about this last time. I feel like I did, but Severance on Apple TV. Yeah, really good, really good. I finished it all. Kind of a fun ending. Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, it's like people are kind of taking their work life part of their brain and their everything else part of their brain, and they sever that consciousness. So it's interesting. It's a very, very interesting kind of theory, or I guess idea, right? But yeah, no, very good show. I highly recommend it. Then The Boys. The Boys is good. The Bear, which so it's
Herd Chef.
what's that?
I said Herd Chef.
Herd chef, yeah. Classically trained chef goes back home to run his family restaurant, which is like essentially like a hot beef restaurant, the kind of diner type place. It super good show. Highly recommend it. And then I started Sandman. I'm not done with Sandman, but I'm like 2 episodes from the end. So really, really fun. And I never read Sandman, so this is my first foray into that realm. And then reading, I've been reading the Poppy Wars, and I really dig it. So
Nice.
that is it.
Troy, since he hit on Sandman, I'm going to kick it to you.
Yep. So I got almost to the end, and then I wanted to savor it because then I'll be sad when I'm done watching Sandman. But I thought it's been pretty good. I really enjoyed it. It's, again, there's some we can have a whole discussion, and I'm sure there's many things on how it is, but I think overall it's definitely mostly positive. I think it was fun going back on those stories. I was interested to see how they were going to bring some of to me, they're like classic stories. I've reread them so many times and in so many different formats. But seeing like how they're going to do the diner and how they, and again, when there's some classic, I want no spoilers, but when he goes to hell, there's some real, I feel like that was the one thing where maybe it didn't quite have as much punch as I thought it does in the actual comic or the writing, but again, they did well there. My favorite thing in the whole world is the sound of her wings, where Death shows up in the first time which is just like everybody's just like, because in Sandman, that's the first time Death the character shows up in the thing, and so forth. Like for me, it was like the super fan, been with this stuff for 20 years. I think they did a good job. Like my expectations are so up, right? I think they did a good job. Like I really enjoyed it. And then again, it's fun living. I think the twist on it and the casting has been really great. So really, really enjoying that. It'll be interesting. Hopefully, again, they keep going, because I always think like you have to get like the first part of Sandman actually is not. It's really good. Like Nick Gaiman set a great foundation, but it got better. Like he got better, right? like, and that's a hard, right? Like the first season, like you have to get through that to get to some of the really good stuff. And as the story develops, and there's some really good things, because he got better as he wrote throughout the years and that. So, but there are some classic scenes and that story in that first arc that went through. They did a great job, and then the video. I think the production has been great. So. Yeah, really loving Sandman. I'm gonna finish it, and then I'm gonna be sad that I finished it. But maybe then I'll go probably back and read more of the comics or something like that. So
It's funny that you say the books get better, because I feel like the episodes get better in this series. So like, yeah, the beginning stories are really good, and then you have like kind of the
and that's I think, and what's been hard to always like. So why it took so long again, you didn't have the mediums to adapt it and stuff, but I mean, the initial story of Sandman and how he gets captured and that, like, it's actually not the best, but you have to get to that, because what Gaiman did was he laid so much foundation in that initial story, even though that initial story was a little rough and not as, not as intriguing as everything that comes after it, but you got to lay this foundation that everything gets set there with.
Did John Constantine appear in the TV adaptation?
Yes, but it's
and
not
was
John
it Keanu Reeves?
No, it's not John. Then this is where they again did some really cool thing. It's Joanne Constantine. They twist the character a little bit, and then they do a little bit more with the character. I think. Okay. I'd have to double check again, because I always have to go read, because there was one thing where actually I misremembered the comic from the TV. Cause I'm like they missed something, and I went back in the comic, like, no, they didn't. Like, it's not in that issue. It's in a different issue. Like you start to bleed stuff that happens later with earlier, right? To put in to that. But again, that was one of the cool changes that they did, is that, it's Joanne Constantine. But she's still a demon hunter and an exorcist.
Okay. Cool. I haven't started yet. It's on I'm trying to find a weekend where I can like watch all of it.
Yeah, you will get sucked in and just kind of like. There are a couple arc breaks as you run through, but it's pretty good. So again, heavy Sandman. My other stuff. Read the Dan Abnett did the Vernacular Insurgency, which was a Gaunt's ghost book from the past. So he basically, again, a way to kind of get it, the Gaunt story is kind of done, but they went back and he found a story in the past brought back some of the characters that were gone and just told the story kind of early in their history about the ghosts and Gaunt, and was able to what he did is he took a couple characters from there and fleshed out a little bit more of their background and did some stuff in an interesting kind of story there. Not super long, but it was fun to revisit with those characters. Just fun to kind of go back there. I wouldn't say it's like the best thing in the world, but if you love Gaunt's Ghost, you're gonna eat it up. And then the surprisingly, I watched on Disney Plus Lightspeed, which is I don't know if you guys have seen that, the story basically of Buzz Lightyear, or Lightyear, not Lightspeed, but Lightyear. There's a lot of Lightspeed in the story. That's what's going on. But Buzz Lightyear. And at first I saw the trailer, I was like, how are they going to, how does this make sense? It's the toy, whatever. And then in the first 10 seconds, no spoilers, they open up and there's a little screen that says, who's the boy from Toy Story? What's his name? Sorry. Andy. Basically it says, what Andy's favorite toy was Buzz, Andy saw a movie in 1995 with Buzz Lightyear and it became his favorite toy. This is that movie. That's all, and then also it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Like they didn't have to like make, and all it is this really cool kind of space adventure story with Buzz Lightyear, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, watched it with Sarah, and went through, and it really exceeded my expectations. At first, when I saw the trailer, I was like, how's this all going to work? And all he needed was that initial thing. He just said, oh, okay, I get it. Like, it doesn't have anything really to do with Toy Story or the toy or anything else like this. It's just really this kind of cool, action movie with Buzz Lightyear, and it explains his character and the Space Rangers and stuff like that. So kind of a cool story there. So recommend that. Again, it's kind of light and a good family-friendly Disney Plus movie, but exceeded my expectations there too.
Nice. Well, speaking of exceeding expectations, I started watching Westworld Season 4 after not liking Season 3 and almost stopping watching. And I finished Season 4 and it exceeded my lowered expectations from Season 3. So I like where they went with the show. I like how they've kind of wrapped it up, so to speak. I think they left it open for a Season 5-ish. I don't know if they will or not, but it's pretty good. I watched part 1 of the Manti Te'o Untold, the documentary on Netflix that Bryce mentioned, and just terrifying how that catfish kind of played out, and what can happen with the internet and people on the internet. Day Shift, a Netflix movie with Jamie Foxx, Dave Franco, and Snoop Dogg about vampire hunters in Los Angeles. Really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. And then I've been watching LA by Night on YouTube, catching up with that. I'm on the tail end of Season 3. And then I've been doing a lot of reading too. So I tried to go back to a different genre and avoid sci-fi and fantasy, and I got Blood Meridian, which is a Western that Cormac McCarthy wrote.
That's a rough book.
That was rough. It was well, I mean, not to mention the just like overt racism that he tried to capture as part of the era, but there was this tone of like it was difficult to listen to, I think, in today's in today it was difficult to listen to whenever he wrote this, kind of just the flippant use of slurs and I don't know, I don't know what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting to feel good. I've read The Road, I've read Cormac other stuff, but this just it was like, ugh, like constantly it felt challenging to listen to because it hurt my soul. But I got it done. I'd probably say it's like 2.5 stars. Like I just
it's one of his early, right? It's probably 20 years old, right?
Or older.
Is it that older?
I bet it's older. Yeah.
I mean, it came out. I mean, it was one of his first, and I don't know when I read it, a long time ago, and yeah, again, that's all it was. Really, it's a rough, but it's Cormac McCarthy. Like again,
Yeah.
it's those books are a journey. I think he has a new book coming out. I feel like
He
I
does.
clicked something, and it made
He
me kind of
does.
like, oh, do I want to go down this journey? Do I want to go
Yeah.
down this journey? Because it's an investment, and emotional
I
investment to
needed
go in one of his books. Yeah,
I
so
needed
it's
to talk I needed to talk to like a therapist after finishing it. Like that's kind of how it felt. I was like, I need to do something that will make me happy.
yeah. And I mean, the road. I mean, if you've not read the
Yeah, oh yeah.
road,
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
rough.
that's a rough, but it's so. I mean, it's like right. It's like the fact that it just tears
Yeah.
your soul out, right? It means he did something, right? It's
Yeah.
so yeah. Right. So I applaud you for kind of going through there, making it through.
Yeah, that was rough. And then I also, speaking of rough on Audible, Josh Reynolds wrote Dark Harvest. It's the Warhammer horror book about a former warrior priest of Sigmar who's hunting someone down, and there's like Kurnoth and kind of stuff going on in the swamp. It's a good story, but the narration on Audible is awful. I was used to like Black Library stuff having great narrators. I don't. This one was just, it's tough to distinguish like accents of who's talking and characterization, and very flat at times. So I'm struggling to like listen to it. I think I would have liked reading it a lot more. But the Audible version is just not great. But the story's really good. So it's kind of like, oh man.
Yeah, don't you?
wish-
It is hard. Like, and it's hard. I know what what I found though is even once I start it, even when I read it, the problem is that damn voice is in my head. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to
You're
clean
reading
out.
it in
Yeah.
that voice.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to clean it out. Yeah.
And then, so Josh mentioned the Poppy Wars, which is Rebecca Kwang, R.F. Kwang, her first book. I think Raph actually had told us about that originally. Well, she put out a new book. It just released like last week or 2 weeks ago called Babel. It's an alternate history fiction about Oxford University in the 1830s. A boy is fostered from by this professor from China, and he's raised like in England by this professor, taught different Latin and Greek, and he knows Chinese, and he goes, and you learn that at Oxford they are using silver bars and engraving word pairs, so like a word in one language and a translation of it in another, to create magical powers. And that's how the British Empire has like expanded, and why they're so powerful is they understand translation and silver bars. So it's this alternate history, kind of low fantasy magic, but it's very critical of colonialism. And there's this group, the Hermes Society, working kind of to undermine what Oxford and Babel, the translation tower there, is doing. And it's really good. I was about 150 pages into it, and then Nicole left for a work trip and grabbed my book instead of her book, so I couldn't finish Babel this week. So I started reading Double Eagle, Troy, which you had given me, the Dan Abnett kind of fighter. It's Top Gun in 40K.
Oh, I like that book. Not that it's the best book in the world. I just like that book because Abnett just took 40K and gave it, like, it has a totally different spin. It literally, it's like you said, it feels like it's not a 40K novel. It's a World War II novel. It's Top Gun. Like, he tells this military
Top Gun and 40K.
And 40K. I think there actually is a love interest line, very light one, but like, how often do you have a love interest kind of thing go through a 40K book? I just loved it because it's just a little so different, but still 40K. There's still dogfights. There's still right. I mean, but it basically
the
could
arch
be
enemies advance. Yeah,
advance, right? All the players are different.
One
but
chapter just touched on a broken down Lehman Russ conqueror in the desert as the line's retreating out, and like the tank crewmen, and one of the pilot mentions that a scout, M. Cole, one of the guys from Gaunt's, so he references like other stuff from the Gaunt's books.
Yeah,
it's enjoyable. I'm about a third of the way through it, because since I didn't have Babel to read, I was like, I need to figure out a different book to read. So I'm reading that this week.
Did they play any beach volleyball in the desert?
They're not to that part yet.
No
Okay.
volleyball yet that I've
All
got
right.
into.
I think
There was a
they
guy
do
that went to the beach.
Yep.
Ooh, all right.
He went to
And there's
watch the
definitely
waves
an
crash.
ocean. There's water.
There's an ocean. Yeah.
There's I think it's like super cinematic. Like it's
Yeah,
like
it's
you could
fun.
literally take this book and like shoot a movie of it, and you wouldn't even know it's a 40K book. Like it's just like it could be some old it's a military kind of right. There's a fight going on. There's some good characters. Whatever. It's just I like it because it's a little so different from the other stuff. So.
All right. So that sums up the library and the banter. I know we said we were going to keep it short. We didn't, so hopefully you enjoy it. We are going to hop into our recaps of Gen Con and NashCon, and we'll try to do rapid fire. We've done Gen Con reviews before. We've done, tournament reviews before. This will be kind of condensed and just kind of highlights and lowlights. So Gen Con was in Indianapolis. We've been over where it is, the size of it, 60,000 attendees or whatever it is. We'll kind of do a quick, what we played there, anything that was interesting, anything new primarily, and then just a couple of highlights, if anything. I will get started just for fun and talk about what I played. I only did one ticketed event, Starfinder game with Dr. Gabe. It was the return of San Hollow. In Starfinder, there's an icon. It's kind of like a bard. There's actually a real EDM artist, San Hollow. Well, I play his alter ego in the far future. And it was fun just to hang with Gabe and roll some dice and play Starfinder. Then I did laser tag with Troy and Ben and Josh, the 40K Warhammer Killzone or whatever they call it. These big heavy las guns and orc shootas, and we got beat by the orcs, but we're Imperial Guardsmen.
It was my fault, I'm sure.
Poor training. We were Imperial budget, shortfalls. And then after hours, I played some of the usual stuff. I think Troy will touch on a few things we played together, but I was introduced to Everdell. Pretty sure Josh played that with Matt and Barry. Worker placement game where you're woodland creatures trying to assemble your village, but it was really kind of cool. I went and I bought the app on the iPad, and I've gotten a lot better at Everdell playing the game on the iPad. And then I can't think of the name of it, but Barry had picked it up at the auction. It was like a trick taking game where you're playing nobles or peasants and trying to assemble either sets of cards or runs of cards, but each card has an action. It was like Love Letter Coup-esque, that style, which I don't usually like. I think it was fun when we played with like 7 people, and we didn't play it too much, so it didn't wear thin on me. But I wish I could remember the name of it. It was
I can't think of the name of it either.
Yeah, it was like kings or knights or nobles or something like that.
Yeah. Citadel?
No, it wasn't Citadels.
Okay, because that's similar, right, or something.
Yeah, similar idea.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, that was kind of what I played. Won't get too far in the depths with any of those, but Josh, how about you? What did you play? Ticketed events or after hours?
Yeah, my ticketed event, my main ones, I did 2 True Dungeons, one with Mike and one with Mike and Marlon. And I mean, they're a little pricey, but I still have some. Yeah. And
how pricey are they?
In the 90,
80. I want to say it's mid 80s, but I don't.
For an hour?
It's 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was good. Yeah, it's their typical quality. I mean, they didn't skimp on anything. The storyline was fun. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say except for it's pricey, and if if Mike hadn't proactively like bought tickets, I don't know that I would have like searched them out. But yeah, anyway, it was fun. I had a good time. And then played some stuff with Troy. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, did you get any good treasure to help offset your expensive
Yeah,
convention ticket?
Yeah, I did pull a purple, which is roughly $100, but I went to go try to sell it, and they said, "Oh, we'll give you 35." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'll try to sell it to somebody else that knows what this is." So yeah. And then I played a few things with Troy, but I'll let you, because they're on your list.
Sure. Well, let's maybe we'll jump into it. So we did Outbreak Undead. Like we always like to do some kind of a zombie or Hunter Unlimited game at some point. But we so we got into one on Friday. Was it Thursday afternoon?
Mm-hmm.
And I had extra ticket, and Josh got it. It was okay. It was the only RPG I did, and I'm glad that I only really did one RPG because that was the only thing. I mean, with wearing masks is I didn't really mind playing games to it, but RPGs is just what seemed. That was the only thing where it felt like it was in the way, and it actually kind of detracted a little bit from the experience because the DM's trying to figure you know. Some of that stuff, whatever. And it was good. I think we were getting her at the end of the day. It wasn't the best one in the world, but she did a good job. It was a fun story. Like, I mean, when you look back at that, you're always kind of like, right, you erase like all the game stuff, and you just have the story left over in your head. And so, I think it was a kind of a cool story. We were on a boat. Ty, you would have missed it. Everything was centered around a boat, like a captain in a boat.
And a
lighthouse. A couple different, it was kind of cool. Like I like how they did it. Like we did 2 different scenes, kind of right, with kind of based from the same characters, and with this ship captain, he basically had a couple different quests that he sent us out on over the kind of 2 big ones.
Did any of you die?
No, we didn't. Did we even get close? We didn't even take too much damage.
I took a little bit of damage, and the guy next to me took a little bit of damage, but I don't think anybody was close to dying.
Yeah, we didn't.
So
she wasn't too hard on us.
She didn't ratchet up the viral percentage and
she was.
Pull you aside and say you're gonna turn because you got scratched.
No.
So it wasn't like Ivan intensity.
No, not Chris or Ivan intensity at all. She was being very, being very nice around that. I think it was. I mean, I know we had. I don't hate to rank our thing. I think we had done one. When you do a non-Ivan, non-Chris, it's like the bar is set pretty high, right? I think she was as good or a little bit better. I think we had that one guy a year or 2 ago, right, that ran one that we did that was okay. I think the story here was a little better. I think she did an okay job with that. So, but it was fun to get play Outbreak Undead. Good group. I think there was 2 other guys. I can't remember who was actually.
One other
table. Guy. One other guy. I think. Yeah. So that was fun. And then we dragged Josh over to our gaming suite and broke out some HeroQuest at Ben's request. That was his one thing for Gen K. He's like, somebody play HeroQuest with me. So we broke that out. I pretended to be Ty. I was a little bit of a nicer Ty.
Yeah, he was less harsh.
I wasn't as
less tactical.
The Troy AI is not as tough as the Ty AI.
Yeah, it didn't.
Troy's on like a 4 and Ty's on like an 8.5.
I think I did take a bite out of the wizard, but not too bad. You guys are okay. You didn't leave him by himself very often, so
right.
But so it was good. Again, we played with my half painted set that needs to become fully painted, but.
And we did 7 Wonders Architects and Lost Ruins of Arnak another night. The 4 of us kind of got together and played those games, which we've talked about Architects and we've talked about Arnak before, so won't get too in depth there.
Yep. And then I'll just run through the Thursday morning. I really loved we played our normal like Formula Day, which is the Formula One racing, the kind of racing game dice. It's always a good con game because it's a good game with lots of people. But the best thing was just starting out Gen Con in Lucas Oil Field, on the field, playing a game. Like there's like it just that atmosphere is so cool. Like it was so cool just to kind of like walk over there and you're in the stadium. And they did, they had all the billboards and all the light signs are all rolling different ads and Gen Con stuff and things like that. So that was just a really cool way. We didn't plan it that way, but it was just kind of cool that our first event was over there to play it there. So, and then I think Friday, Ben and I played more Pokemon. It was kind of like you buy a deck and then play. And Ben and I both got beat by 8-year-olds in our first round, I think. And then I played Ben in the third round, and I ended up beating him. So that was like my only victory was beating Ben, and that's only because he didn't get any more Pokemons out. I ended up killing his one. He had nothing on his deck. If you know Pokemon rules at all, you need to have Pokemons to come off your bench, and he had no bench. And then played a couple of the kind of, I'll call them bigger games, the things that we were really kind of excited to play about. On Friday night, we played a Star Wars Imperial Assault, big multiplayer. If you know the Imperial Assault, that was the Fantasy Flight Star Wars miniature board game that they did. It's basically been replaced by what's it called?
Legion?
No, what? Sorry,
Legion.
Joshy. Legion. Yeah, the true like more of a the true miniature game for Star Wars. But the guy that ran it he had said he was actually used to be a competitive Imperial Assault player. Like he played in a lot of organized play stuff. So he built this really big kind of scenario, which is just from the Rogue One end battle against the two sides, and he did a really nice job of it. It was really kind of a narrative event. So at each turn, you started out thinking, okay, this is kind of vanilla, right? It's us playing them, and then each turn he would kind of bring in some new kind of things drop on the board, either a spaceship or something, reinforcements, or and then it kind of ratcheted up to the end and had a pretty good, exciting end in it. And again, he was kind of like we do in Space Hulk, right? He kind of, would bring in different things to balance the game so that if one side was getting beat, then the next turn, guess what? Some reinforcements come in off the round, and which was kind of fun. And then he had just some also wild card things that kind of showed up at some point. There's some Imperial Guard shows up at some point, or whatever they're called, the Emperor's Guard, whatever the big red guys in there. So fun. I think the miniature gamer in me, I would have painted things a little better and had a little bit better terrain, but I'm not gonna, my bar is a little higher than the normal Imperial Assault player probably. So, but it was fun. Again, a lot of fun on the Friday night, and then the next morning, I think Saturday morning, Ben and I played the old Axis and Allies War at Sea. Ben and I are both kind of old like historical naval. We love a good historical naval battle kind of stuff. And it was the guys from, you would have recognized, these were, I think, one guy from there, I think it was Mike, that we had probably played with when we did some of the
Flames of War
stuff in the day. Because I said, he was actually playing, from like that whatever
Company,
Able Company? Able
Yeah.
Company.
Able Company, yeah. So he kind of, this group wasn't the Able Company, but it was I think a local group, and he was actually playing with us on our side, and I was talking to him and like you're super, like I know we've played with you in the past or something, so it was kind of fun. But Ben and I actually never played this rule set, and it was really well, we own a lot of the ships from the olden days because you can use them for lots of different naval rules battle, and it was a lot. The guy did a good job. It was a really fun scenario. I think we played about 3 hours. Kind of a whole bunch of ships kind of come in, a lot of shooting. There's some airplane stuff, but a nice simple rule set. And it made Ben and I both go back and pull our ships out and look at what we had and say someday we should figure out how to do a naval battle. And probably nowadays with 3D printing, you could print the ships you want, but a lot of the ships we have are again, they're just out of print, so they're ridiculous. Like they're $100 for some little tiny piece of plastic. that looks like a boat. So that was Wartsy. It was a lot. That was a lot of fun. And then we finished up with kind of a Snap Ships demo. So I don't know if you guys seen the Snap Ships. They're in kind of the very end of the vendor hall. So this is like X-Wing on steroids, maybe, but better. So it's like you have big ships, but basically what they are is they're all not like Legos, like it's cool, like spaceship part Legos. So you get the ship and you put it, kind of assemble it, and then there's a rule set to like fight battles, and it's done by and basically I think it's actually the company is local here in Wisconsin. I think they're in the Beloit, like Rockford area, at least some of them. So, and I think it's a combination of some guy who has some pretty good toy experience with a guy who has pretty good game design experience. And it seemed like last year they kind of just started out with like a prototype with the ships and building and that. And then now they're kickstarting kind of the full game where you can buy a bunch of ships and that. So, so Ben and I had a lot of fun. We did a couple dogfight kind of battles. Again, thought the rule system, it's like a power management kind of system, where you basically have to allocate power to your different systems, and then movement is a little bit kind of X-Wing, like you have each ship can do certain length movement, turns, and kind of thing, kind of generic like you would for that. But it was fun. And then I think the interesting thing is like you can kind of build, take your Lego parts and build new ships, and then you'll kind of all have rules for kind of that stuff. So we both, I invested a little bit in that. We'll see if we played a little bit on that stuff, but and we'll see how the full blown Kickstarter. But that was kind of our wrap up on Snap Ships. So
Cool.
Played a lot.
Yeah, you did. That's why you go to Gen Con though, right?
Yep.
You do Gen Con right. I do Gen Con wrong.
No, it's never wrong. It's whatever you want to make it.
So I think what we should do is probably just a couple of quick, events or highlights that jumped out, and overall commentary, and then try to get to NashCon just for the sake of our friend Bryce, who is not at Gen Con.
I would like to start.
Yeah, go for it.
The COVID check line, we had to show proof of vaccination, and
really efficient, clean process.
It was a hot mess.
They did something so well.
I was trying. Ty and I were looking for the end of the line, and I was trying to motion to Ty, "Hey, let's just jump in the line right here," because there was a break, and just keep our eyes forward. And I reached out to I kind of just raised Ty's arm, and and he kept walking because I don't think he felt it, and I just kept my eyes forward, and the guy saw Ty and he's like, "Oh, line's this way," and I kept my eyes forward.
That moment, just for an example, Josh, you had your wristband 15 minutes later. We don't have a live studio audience, so I'm not going to ask the guess of how long it took Ty to get his wristband by missing that line cut. But I'd probably put the time around an hour 45 to 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably about 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were we that bad? It's just kind of
it was terrible.
Because you ended up behind us, Ty.
Somehow I ended up behind you, but I got in line in front of you.
We think you got in front of us, and then Ben and I, because we're all texting each other, where are you? Because literally we got a tour of Lucas Oil, or of the convention center. The line literally wound through on the second floor, every crook and alley.
And they had multiple lines at certain points. And
and I don't know, we can speculate or whatever. And the problem is, it was just that, that time, what they should know it though. Wednesday, people are going to come into town. Everybody comes in. They know this from the call line.
We don't have to dwell on it. It was a shit show. It was an absolute shit show. And
it was only that bad for those 3 hours. Yeah. That was what was then. And then once we all got through, every time you go back, then there was no line, because everybody kind of spread out. And so, I don't know. Yeah, there was many ways.
It was really cool. And I hope that they do it next year. I really hope they do it again. That was the most fun event that I had at Gen Con, was waiting to get
They
my
should have sold it as a
vaccination
tour.
bracelet.
They should have sold it as a tour. Like, we're going to take
Yeah.
you on an in-depth tour through the little known places you've seen in the convention hall.
Yeah.
So, but we
Um,
lived.
I rolled my stealth check.
Yeah. I tried to follow the code of honor and
You did.
learned that you should always be chaotic evil, never be lawful good. All right. Any other highlights, Josh, other than your 15-minute COVID line?
The Rathskeller with you and Gabe and Eric. That was really good and really
And our
fun.
text message with the guy that now has Will Conway's old cell phone number.
That's right. I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, I texted Brian and Will with a picture, and I was like, remember this, blah, 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 blah. And I got a message back like, oh, okay, one of Will's friends. This isn't Will. This is his old phone number. Looks like you're having a great time. I'm sure Will would really appreciate it, or something like that. It was a really friendly message back. And I was like, oh man, sorry. He's like, no. I get a ton of this, and it's usually about gaming or drinking. So Will seems like a really cool guy.
That is funny.
Super nice guy.
Yeah, Rascaller was really good. The other dinners and lunches are mostly forgettable. But that was a really good one. I think for me, one thing I realized too about Gen Con, and maybe I'd had a long enough break that like going back, it still wasn't totally Gen Con because masks and that separation of COVID protocols. But like the vendor hall, it's like we're in this time of feasting, right, for options and opportunities, and it's almost gotten to the point where there's just too much like saturation of people making games and selling games. Like that the overall quality I think was down this year for like new cool stuff to play and look at and buy. And I don't know if that's still a product that companies coming out of COVID, or some companies closing, whatever it might be, but it felt like the vendor hall was the average quality of like what was there was lower than past years. But like Renegade had a really cool booth, a lot of Vampire product featured. I stopped by Free League, they had some really cool books out. Cubicle 7, I mean there was some cool stuff there. But I wasn't wowed by any new board games or stuff. It didn't feel like the year of a lot of big cool releases.
Yeah, same. I would echo all that.
Yeah, the only trying to think of my highlights here, is looking for my picture. So the auction was back, which was fun. It sounds like Barry, I know that's one of his favorite things too. Was to hit that. So it's fun. I'm in there. I actually picked up where is it? The Fury of Dracula out of print version of that, which is the old GW game that Fantasy Flight had the license for a while. Just one of my kind of like bucket list games to own, whether I play it or not. And then there was the one, again, there are lots of small interesting stuff. The one there was I don't know if there's a booth for Colorway Games, because I think it's a place where they're trying to highlight designers of color, or that, and they had a cool and I'm gonna try and figure it out because I had Ben with me too, and he knows better. They have like this 3D 3-on-3 basketball. Did you see this? Like a 3-on-3 basketball game. And we watched a little bit of a demo and some of that. It looked interesting. Like it could be kind of fun. So just wanted to, again, one of the small highlights on that one. But yeah, I would say on the in the vendor hall, it's just so much to get. Like you can't. I mean, maybe I think we did a pretty good job. We probably hit 85% of the hall. My guess is there were still, because I think there were still people that mentioned things. You're like, nope, I never saw that booth, right? On some stuff. So,
final thoughts on Gen Con from you guys before we segue to NashCon. Anything that you want to touch on, or?
No, not having been at a con in a minute, it was sort of nice. Like, even though it was like we're all kind of saying it was a little bit lackluster, but it was still like nice to do it again, I guess. I don't know.
Definitely nice to have Gen Con back in whatever at 90% of what it was. But again, it'll continue to change. I think, Ty, you mentioned that even downtown Indy has had a lot of
Yeah.
change in the last couple of years, and so there were some old restaurants that we used to frequent that aren't there anymore, and things like that. So it'll continue to change and evolve as it continues to move.
Yeah. I think I'm at a kind of a decision point of Gen Con may not be something I keep doing like every year. I wasn't wowed. Like, I had a great time hanging out with
Yep.
Josh and the crew and being there, but it's gonna be interesting what I decide to do next year. I have more fun at Gamehole Con playing games with people. I have more fun, smaller our
Yep.
weekenders, other stuff. I don't know that I need.
Yeah, I think
Gen
what it's
Con.
hard to like. There is, it's fun or whatever, but it is an investment. Like you're when you look at like fun per dollar, right? And how many things can you that there's not a lot of things now that are like maybe completely unique to Gen Con, right? That
Mhm.
that you can only do there, right? There's almost everything you maybe can do in some form somewhere else, right? You just can't. You don't just have 60,000 people there kind of doing it. So yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, is it about even the last couple of years? I remember before that we hit this, I was always like, oh, is it really worth a 4-day investment, or does it
Right.
start to turn into a 2-day or a weekend thing just to kind of maybe hit the hall and experience it, or does it now? We're getting it. I think we're all at is it like more of a family? Like, hey, Sarah comes down and it becomes more of like, hey, we stay off site and make it more of a vacation, and we spend a couple, few hours each day there, and then go swim or something, right?
Yeah.
uh,
Well, and what is the what is our little equation? How many large pizzas really is that
yep,
weekend, right? So
right.
Definitely. Well, I'm gonna kick it up a notch. We're gonna go a little bit faster through NashCon, but we're gonna re-engage Bryce into the conversation because he went to NashCon 2022 with me and Tom. Traveled down there just a was that a week ago? It feels like it was so long, but pretty recent. Um, and it was our return to competitive AOS after I think we said about 3 years for you, me, and Tom all since we had last played a game really. Um, so Bryce, what I think maybe I'll just go through kind of who I played, and then we can talk a little bit about some of the great food and drink and times we had. Anything you want to say or kind of comment on before we get into a brief NashCon recap of like games played?
I think both Tom and I were so ready to not go. Like I think if it weren't for Ty, there was absolutely no chance we would have been there. But Ty, the day after Ty got the wonderful video from Stu, Tom had sent a message basically trying to back out, but Ty was so committed at that point that we couldn't. So Ty had to force us to go. And no spoilers, but I'm very thankful he did because it was good, and we'll get more on that. But it's important to preface with I had zero interest in going aside from the 4 days with Ty and Tom, and that alone was enough to get me to go, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna let you guys back out. I was pot committed. I had the grudge from Stu. I had the hotel, and was gonna learn how to play and play a list that had a chance to at least go 1-4. So we made it. We drove down. I think that was an adventure. The way down was all back old high. We took the old highways. Once we got past Chicago, we were off the interstate. So we saw like some weird like Indiana college towns. We saw a 30-foot tall Santa Claus. Like the drive down was like going through like I don't know, like a time warp. We joke that most of the cities we went through, like the towns that we went through, looked like they were frozen in like the early '90s. Like I half expected to see a Blockbuster in each one of them.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it was just bizarre. Like you didn't see anything new or modern. I don't think we saw a Chipotle or a Panera. It was like
No.
rallies and
And they all had like the old school facades too. It was like
yeah,
dated, not updated Taco Bells, and it was just awesome.
yeah. It was like a time warp. It was really crazy. But I mean, it was a lot of fun. The drive down, talking. It was a long trip, especially for Bryce because he had 2 hours in the car before even getting to pick us up. But a couple stops, and we got there, and it was nice when we got there. I think we did dinner at the hotel and kind of just chilled that first night. Like it wasn't anything wild and crazy.
Yeah.
And then we got up and Friday was just a hangout day. We went to Jacob Berry's after our lunch at the heartland of the Confederacy. We Googled like a cafe, like we were looking for a spot to grab food, and it took us way out in the middle of nowhere, this little town called Gladeville, I think. And we
It
ate
was like a corner, four corners on a stop sign was the town.
it was like a church, a house with Confederate flag,
A barber shop
a barber shop, and this cafe,
and
and
nail
maybe
salon.
a nail salon. Uh,
Yeah.
Had really great food though, but we were next door to a house that was literally flying the Tennessee state flag, a Confederate flag, and an American flag, and it was so bizarre. Um, and then Jacob's house was amazing. My notes for that are BBQ at Jacob Berry's, Bud Keller. So Bud is famous on Twitter. He's a Canadian guy. He made cinnamon buns. They were delicious. Bryce, I don't know if you had a cinnamon bun.
I did, yeah.
And I tried Hard Mountain Dew for the first time. And just hanging out with Jacob and his wife and all the guys from Tough Crowd and like everybody, like half the tournament, I think, was at Jacob's house at one point.
There was like 35 people there at least.
And sitting around drinking and talking and just getting back into like the culture of AOS, like the people of AOS. Like I talked to Bud and his wife for a while. She's writing a TV show for like Canadian television right now. Tina, she was awesome. And Jacob's wife, Margot, I was like, thank you so much for letting a bunch of drunk idiots come and like hang out at your house. She's like, yeah, this is what I expected it would be.
What was that, like a backhand? What was that? A backhanded comment? A backhanded?
It's like she knew what she was getting into. She's married to
right.
Jacob, so
Yeah.
I mean, you know, she had to expect it, and she knows Joe Pagano. But it was really cool, like talking AOS, hearing that conversation again, being around people that play. Then Friday night, I think from there we went out to that pizza like brew pub place.
Yeah.
Had really good pizza, really good beer, some mead. Stu told us about it. We went there, and Aaron Schmidt was there. Mike Westendorf joined us. And Cody from Madison, another Wisco King guy, had come down for the tournament. So we had a good crew for drinks and pizza. And Bryce, I'll hand it off to you because the plan was to go play HeroQuest.
Yeah, we'll just say we went and played HeroQuest. No one aside from the 7 people there need to know.
Okay, good. Yeah, we went and played HeroQuest at the Embassy Suites. There was no bare asses or green beans or Bloody Marys or shots of whiskey.
Half a bottle of Wild Turkey Dry.
Yeah.
HeroQuest never left the box, did
it?
Someone opened it.
Yeah, it got opened up. Yeah. What's the quote from Aaron? So in Wisco Kings, shortly after, Aaron said, "My girlfriend asked how the weekend was. I told her about our opening ceremonies in quotes, with those of you in attendance. Left a few stew-related details out. Her reply, you have a type." And then he quotes Mike from Indy. "What did I get myself into? Still is the funniest thing from the weekend to me. That's on you, son." So, I mean, it was rather exciting. And when the tournament started Saturday, I don't know that any of the three of us were ready to play AoS. I think there was some tiredness and hangovers involved.
Yeah, for sure. We had big plans. Well, you specifically and Jacob, have an annual tradition at these kind of things after game 3 when you're usually very intoxicated. And we weren't ready for that. I don't think we ever made it close to ready for that day.
No. And then Edley's didn't help for barbecue that night. Yeah. So let's talk AoS, guys. AoS 3 has battle tactics. That's a thing. Each round you got to choose one, and it's big to get your battle tactics. The games all felt really close, and it usually came down to who hit their battle tactics or not for like the victory point for the win. Grand strategies
too, yeah.
were big. And then the missions, actually, I thought were all pretty cool. Like, I didn't get a mission that I read where I was like, oh, this is lame. Like, they all kind of, it's a different game. It feels very like every turn you're kind of trying to plan and strategize, and it's very important what you do, like, go for. Whereas in the past, some of the battle plans with pre-battle tactics or grand strategy felt like I can just do this for 2 turns, kind of lock it up, and then grind, not necessarily need to do anything the subsequent rounds. But this felt like every round of the game mattered and carried quite a bit of weight for the outcome. I don't know, Bryce, any other, like, third edition is I think more complicated, and it definitely takes more brain power and thinking to play it competitively. But any thoughts from you?
I think that's definitely true, but I think going into it, and part of why Tom and I were so hesitant was it felt like it was going to be overwhelming since it's been so long, and honestly, it missed a full edition. Really, like we barely played. I didn't play a single game of the last handbook before this one, but at the end of the day, it really wasn't that different as far as like the core concept of the game. It was just like you can definitely see where if you were familiar and you had a plan for your battle tactics and what your army did, that you could use a lot more strategy. But I think I was still able to have a ton of fun just playing, or I was worried that I would be kind of that guy at the tournament that had no idea what to do. And really, to pick it back up, Troy and Josh, you could go and pick it back up just as easy with how long it's been since you've played. So I thought that was kind of cool because I was very intimidated, and I think a lot of people who didn't get to do anything during COVID kind of felt that way and maybe still feel that way, and it's holding them back from trying. But it's still the same. It's just a bit more tactical for the people who want to take it to that next level. But it's cool that you can still kind of live in your own space where you want to play and have fun, or if you want to go hardcore. And I think it's even better on that end than it ever was before because there's more. It's not just random luck on a priority roll. You can be more tactical, and it's more impactful.
Yeah. So hey, I've played before you guys. I actually played a year ago with Ben. When I went to Gen Con, I actually took 2 armies, and that's when I taught Ben. And if you have to teach somebody a game, then you actually have to kind of know it, right? Yeah. And so actually, that was my first kind of toe in the water. But it's all about the battle tactics and you said, Ty, it feels like that's going to be the difference. Like if you get yours a turn and somebody doesn't, like that's a big hill to climb. Then
So I think that's a good discussion point for my 5 games. So like Grudge match round 1, Stu challenged me in the most epic of call out videos of all time. If you haven't seen it, find it on Twitter. It's out there from a few weeks back.
Stu's a great singer. Let's just pause to compliment that.
I believe he is classically trained, like opera singer. Yeah. Like he's a very talented man. But incredible call out video. And then I answered it in turn by just showing up and kicking his ass. So, I'm kidding. It was actually a really close, kind of fun game. It was ogres on ogres. There was a lot of bloodshed. We had some really good battles. Like his Frostlord charged in, killed some shit. I countercharged, killed it, um, banged it out as ogres do in the middle. And Stu, thankfully, like would kind of remind me about heroic actions or monstrous actions, and we just played kind of a light kind of. It was get back into the game and understand there wasn't like this super crunchy like moments of, oh, how do I win? It was just let's slam big models into one another and roll dice. And had a lot of fun with Stu. He's such a great dude and just kind of exudes that, like, I don't know, like friendliness, jovial, kind of guy. And that was awesome for the first game. And I did get the major win though, so I launched up into the stratosphere with the other people that scored max points and got matched against none other than Joe Pagano of Rage of Sigmar, Jacob Berry's partner in crime. Tough crowd playing his just beautiful Blood Knights, Neferata, part of his current Death Army. Everything was gorgeous on the table. I learned some very important lessons about what not to do in the current edition of AOS in that game. And Joe beat me pretty soundly, but he's an awesome guy to play at. He plays a clean game, and he's just incredibly friendly. Haven't had a chance to play Joe. Like, I've met him before and talked to him plenty. But we had a fun game. Grabbed a drink together, just hung out. He ended up, I think, going 4-1 for the tournament. So I mean, he played incredibly well. I think he won Player's Choice for the Army, and I think he won Best Death, if I recall correctly. So I mean, he had an awesome tournament.
So he only lost to you, huh?
He beat my ass good.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So I was 1-1. My third game that day, I played a younger guy, Georgia college student, Lawrence. He was playing Fire Slayers. And that game was super tight. It came down literally to in the last turn, I took priority. I hadn't won priority all game, so I got excited. I'm like, oh, I can kill some stuff. By me going and killing his unit, I opened up the only battle tactic that he had a chance to do. And that gave him 4 battle tactics completed to my 3, which was the tiebreaker because we were completely even on victory points. Like, it was just this back and forth awesome game. Lawrence had been playing for like a year and a half. He said he'd played some 40K before, but just a really great. I don't want to call him a kid because he was probably 20, years old. But here I am, old man Warhammer, starting to play with guys that are half my age. And so I finished that one with the minor loss. So I was 1-2 after day 1. Day 2 came. I played Ryan Byrne. Bread is his nickname. He's another tough crowd guy. So the gaming club that kind of Joe and Jacob has founded that is kind of all over the Northeast and other places, California. He lives in DC. I think he said he's a systems engineer, but he was playing Flesh Eater Courts, and we had a really tight, close game. Came down to him getting his grand strategy and 2 more battle tactics than me, but everything I had except for Kragnos was dead, and he had like a unit of Flayers and a unit of Cryptors left, and everything else was dead. So like we just killed a ton of stuff and played a really fun game. Super cool dude. And then pairings came up for round 5, and I played my brother. And I had shot Anthony a message saying, hey, we're going to try to get out of here early. If I could get matched up against Tom, we're close, if it works out. And Anthony sends me a reply, and he's like, I didn't even need to adjust it, you guys. There were 5 guys at 63 points and then 3 at 64. So 60 like battle points played each other, and that was Tom and I. And it was a battle plan that he was kind of shaking his head. He's like, this is stupid. Like, I can't win this game against you. I literally can't. There's nothing I can do with my list against your list to win this game. And we set up and we played, and I charged in and just punched him in the mouth hard. Turn one. He fought back, didn't kill anything. I got priority in the 2, and we called it. Like, it was one of those games where it was over in, I think, under 30 minutes. We submitted our scores, and like, it was fun to play. Tom and I haven't played each other in 3 years.
Right.
Like, so even though it was like drive 9 hours to play somebody that you could play any day of the week, it was awesome to finish up against my brother and assert dominance. Bryce, how about your games?
Yeah.
I started my weekend with Tom. Ironically, I started my weekend with the person you ended yours with, and I ended mine with the person you started yours with. So I got the privilege of grudging Tom because we were so nervous about playing. We wanted to play each other and understand how to play again. And I at a NashCon or somewhere along the way home from Nashville, I got some kind of bug, and my brain this week is just not functioning still. So I can't remember the names of the people that I played, and I feel terrible. I know I played Trevor, and I played 2 other guys that I've never met before and never even seen before. I can't remember their names, but I played Stu in the final game of the weekend, and every game I had was fun. I had kind of put a list together of things that I had painted and available, and it wasn't very good. But the last game that I played with Stu was like one of those moments where you kind of look back on life, and I'm so thankful that whatever it was 10 years ago, Murphy took me in the Games Workshop and introduced me to this hobby, because I met the 3 of you. I met the people that we hung out with that weekend, and it's like everything good about it I remembered, and it was so awesome to be there and do that. So, Stu, whenever you hear this, you brought me back, buddy, and I can't thank you enough, because that was so much fun, and it like neither of us cared. And, like we picked strategies that made sense to the narrative we had set for our game, and Stu was we each named everything in the game, and we were just, I mean, it was like we were telling a story and not really playing, but it was just, everything about it was great. And I'm so, like I said, I was so hesitant to go, but I'm so thankful that I did, because everything good like came back, and I, I feel that again, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Stu reinvigorated me as well to like go with that challenge video and just be in there. And he takes over as kind of our host, right? Like,
Yeah.
he like told us where we should go, showed us where to get dinner, like kind of told us what's what. Had brought him some hazy IPA from Third Space and some cheese curds that I picked up, and he had a honey mead. There's one meadery in Nashville. It's the only one in the state of Tennessee, and he had a bottle of mead for Tom and Bryce and I, and like just a brother. Don't get to hang out with him often. It had been a few years since we saw him, but I mean, similar seeing Anthony Polcastro, David Griffin, Jacob, these guys down there that I haven't seen in a few years. It was just like, boom, here I am back. Figured out what army I'm doing next. Like, got my Adepticon room. Gonna play in the AoS tournament at Adepticon. Like, I'm ready to go. I was debating like going to LVO, like to hang out with the tough crowd guys. I mean, it's wild. I'm just like, I'm back, and now I want to like do it again. So Thursday nights at Game Universe Mequon, Brendan and Dan are doing hobby nights and like getting kind of a thing going. So I'm going to stop up there this week after work and, assemble some models or paint something. Hopefully play games with you guys and, just kind of get back into playing, because I missed it as much as I didn't like it for a while. And I think COVID really not being able to do events was what kind of just took me totally out of that headspace. And I didn't like 3.0 when I looked at it, but now having like experienced it and played it and just seen that community again, like, a room full of familiar and unfamiliar faces, meeting new people, like the Tough Crowd folks. Awesome, just awesome. Like just such a great community of people hanging out on their Discord now, like talking. It's just super super cool. I don't know, Bryce. Any other final thoughts other than next time we have to play HeroQuest?
Yeah, maybe we'll play HeroQuest. I mean, I don't know if David ever hears these messages, but he's always done such a wonderful job. And even
Beautiful.
Speaking as someone who, has ran a larger tournament or helped run a larger tournament, it gets really hard to take the time to talk to people because you're so overwhelmed with what's happening. But like he came up to me and you, I believe, and just thanked us for being there and took 10 minutes of his day to just chat when he's such a great person too, that it's awesome that it's kind of become our tradition to be there. And a lot of people we told where we were from are like, wait, you drove all the way down here just for this?
Yeah.
But it's it doesn't feel like it's a big commitment at this point. It just feels like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's just something we got to do. And next year, the thing is, I said, I think the play is an Airbnb nearby and get Troy and Josh there. I mean, it's an experience, and just hanging out with those guys is super fun. And we got on Warhammer Weekly.
Yeah, we were described as the pillars of this hobby and why people should go to events.
Is that what they said? Vince said people like this. These bums on the bottom tables.
Yeah. He was very complimentary of all four of us. So
fantastic. So yeah, that was NashCon. Bryce, it took you a little past 11 o'clock. My apologies.
Yeah, I keep slapping myself.
So I think the three of us had a combined 3 wins. At
and
NashCon.
I accounted for 0 of them. And we only got the third one because you played Tom. Well, 2 of them came because we played each other. So really, by default, we only have 1 win.
Yeah, I think at 1. I think at 1 and 3, I'm beating anyone I play though with the list I had and the experience because I got better each game I played. But yeah, good times. More AoS in the future. Got to learn how to get good again. All right, that's going to do it. Upcoming events, more tournaments on the way. Troy's going to be down at GW Chicago doing some narrative 40K, connecting with Raph and others. AoS tournament looks fun. Only thing that weekend, my wife turns 30 part 2, so I won't be able to attend that tournament as we celebrate her second time past 30. Dragonfall a few weeks later. Troy, you going to that?
No, I don't, because I have I usually don't. We have a big work thing that weekend, so I'm just trying to carve out maybe one day to hopefully make it to Game Hole that weekend. But I have to kind of be on call for
hang out at the
work
Airbnb
thing, unfortunately. So
all right. Well, Josh, I believe, will be at Game Hole for the weekend. I don't know if you've cleared the whole weekend from your Ways and Means Committee or not.
Working on it. Efforting.
All right. I know Tom and Jenna, they're going to come for a day or two and hang out with Matt and Elena and Barry and Becky. So it should be fun there. And Bryce, that same weekend, you and Domus are playing in Holy Havoc, or is it Holy Wars? I always forget the Havoc's the fall, right?
Yep. Yeah, Steve pulled a power move and put Havoc on the same weekend as those 2 events.
Yeah.
So that'd make it tough, but yep, I'm pretty pumped that I'm doing an elf project with Domus, so I'm very excited to. I kind of put everything else away and I'm pretending like these are the only whatever
models in your house. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and just am focused, and I'm pulling out the display board I started making for the Lumineth army, and
nice.
I'm gonna bring that back and finish that up. And thankfully it's, I'd say, 50% done because it's a huge project, but I think it's realistic as I look over and see models built and ready to be primed soon that I will actually finish this in time. So
Absolutely. You got this.
You got it.
yeah.
All right. Well, check us out wherever you find your podcasts. Hit us up on YouTube, Playin and Slayin. Like and subscribe. Leave comments. I'll reply to them 3 months after you post them. And yeah, check us out everywhere. Hit us up Twitter at Playin Slayin Show. Always up for retweeting cool stuff. Oh, I missed it in Kickstarter. Josh Arden, one of our listeners and fans, is, I think, either part of or promoting a Kickstarter for 3D prints of similar to like the old manor and fort, the GW, the old Warhammer terrain. That's out on Kickstarter. I'll try to find it and link it in show notes. But I should have hit that in Kickstarter, but just thought about that as I was like, Twitter, we retweet stuff. That's what we do. Then basementofdeath.com, Troy's wealth of Space Hulk information and where our podcast gets posted with cool show notes every episode. You know our emails, send us comments, hit us up. But in the meantime, keep the dice rolling, the drinks on ice, and no matter what, keep playing and slaying, just like Troy's shirt says. I'm just waiting for when Troy shows up with a Playin and Slayin tattoo. And then he's like, now you guys got to get one. And I'm like, I'm in. Let's go.
Walk a shot tattoo. Got my appointment.
Good. I would get one if you got one, Troy. I would for sure, 100%. I would get a Playin and Slayin tattoo if you got one. If any of you guys got one, I'd be like, I'm in. Let's go.
That's that's an idea. All right. We're recording.
That's an idea.
Now you've got your B-roll too.
And what are we giving for the fan? Is there like a lifetime? You get a lifetime subscription to our podcast if you
like Subway.
Like Subway.
For all we know, Stu and Josh already have them.
Yeah. Free access to our Discord.
Yeah.
Play a game with the four of us. We won't pay for airfare. We'll just cover housing.
We'll upgrade them to the emergency exit seat.
Yeah. We'll pay for their check bag.
Whoa, don't push it though.